Good night, good night, good night, guys. Just still here, entering the Matrix once again. Listen, I have not been here for a hot minute. It was definitely let's lean that bit. It was definitely a needed rest from social media. However, I got much deeper into my understanding of reality creation and just basically quantum jumping, quantum leaping. A lot of the stuff I talk on here, I know most persons is not your regular conversation, but that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So we can have conversations like these, and once you actually get into it, like now for me, it's like the normal way of talking. At first, it's kind of like when I was transitioning from Christianity primarily being my basis of viewing life and my perspective of life, and now looking into law of attraction, law of assumption, spirituality, where you are the one in control of your reality. You are the one where things happen because you wanted it to, unconsciously or consciously, based on your behaviors, your actions, your mindsets, whatever the case may be. All right. By the way, I have the whiteboard today. For the longest while, I've been telling you guys, and still, the marker I use, it's not that bright, However, you can still kind of see it. I'll have to do it like this. I have to be doing peekaboo for a while, but that's okay. And here's my amateur guy, and we're going to explore how he's moving from his desired reality. All right, he wants to travel to his actual reality, right, in another timeline where he's actually going to this plane that he imagined himself traveling in. And this could be any amount of time, actually. You can be very specific with this, and it may or may not work based on your level of reassurance in yourself, based on your level of confidence, and the level of belief you have in this methodology of living your life. Okay, so it can happen in a matter of a month, 2 weeks, within a year. But I mean, a year is stretching. If you want your reality, when you're creating it to happen very quickly, you want it to get to a place where it moves from like 6 months, 5 months out to it happening within 3 months, within a month, within a week, based on what you want, especially with some monetary thing. You want to, like, let's say you want money to pay your bills, and after all of a sudden, you have to be waiting like 3-4 months for this imagined reality to come to pass. You want to, if it is, you have like 2 weeks, 3 days to get some money to do something that you can imagine it, and you can create that reality where that money comes to you in that period of time. These are things I've done, guys, over the last 3 years, and I have reached a place where I'm confident that in most situations, and the reason why I say most is because this is very subtle. This is not an aggressive art. This is not an aggressive method. You have to be very light with the strokes of your brush, of your imagination, for this to work for you. You have to be willing to let go of a lot of things. You have to be willing to live in the moment, be in the moment. You have to be willing to let go control of the outcome. The outcome that this guy here wants is that he wants to take a trip. He wants to travel. All right, and how this comes to pass, maybe he buying a ticket, maybe somebody sending money for him to get the ticket, maybe an opportunity presents itself that he can travel for an opportunity, an occasion, or like myself, where it is I got selected on a sports team that did that. Even the method, the way that you get there, sometimes it may vary, but the point is that you left the point you were and you got to another area, but that's what you desired. Okay? Sometimes you may get something, and that might just be a precursor to the reality. You would have to know that. So let's jump into this. So let's call this guy here Mark. And Mark, right now, Mark wants to take a trip. Now let's say that Mark doesn't actually know where he wants to go. That's a little more tricky. All right, it's still possible because Mark can simply imagine himself experiencing a plane ride. He can imagine himself being in an aircraft, feeling the vibration of the seats under him. He can imagine hearing the air hostess or the pilot giving instructions. He can see the clouds outside of his window. All right, right here, you can see the clouds outside of his window. He can imagine the air hostess asking if everything okay. Does he need to get any drink or refreshments? All of this stuff. What he would imagine as actual events taking place, immersing himself in this experience in the present moment. Now, while Mark is doing this, simultaneously, there's a Mark or a version of Mark that is already experiencing this. This version of Mark is already heading to the aircraft, or is already in the aircraft. I didn't want to draw the Mark in the aircraft, so I just drew him going to the aircraft. But the point being, Mark simultaneously in this next timeline that is happening right, you see that's why I drew this line here, it's happening simultaneously, right at the same moment that this Mark is imagining this aircraft, this Mark is already heading to the aircraft. Now, the period of time you take to realizing this depends on how much you know that this actually is occurring simultaneously. When you begin to create a reality, the moment you start to imagine it, the moment you create a visual representation of that reality that you want, in actuality, what you have done is tapped in or accessed another timeline. You are doing remote viewing in a sense. Basically, you're viewing that reality through the eyes of yourself that is in that reality. And the more vivid you do it, the more realistic you make it in terms of texture, touches, sense, sense meaning like smell, all of these things. The more you do that, it's the more real this reality becomes to you. There's no difference really and truly in physicality with this Mark here and this Mark here. What, however, is different is the conviction that this is actually real and happening right now. This Mark, for more or less whatever the case may be, he may not believe he has the finances to get that, and that makes it a reality for him in where he is. He may not believe he has the resources, i.e. passport, luggages, clothing that he would need to travel, and that is also creating the reality that he is in at the moment. However, once he starts to imagine this reality and he starts to actually act upon it, meaning he starts to seek out a suitcase and he gets one, he starts to actually put things in place in terms of the resources of a passport and all of that, all while not thinking about how he's going to get there, if he's going to have the money to get there, all of that. No. All he starts to do is take the necessary actions or inspired actions that he believes will make him experience this reality. So, for example, when so twice this occurred with me, where I actually got trips within the last year while imagining this. And now the trips happened in a way that I really didn't expect it to. Both were shoe sports, and both occurred within less than 3 months of the time. The first one took about just about a little under 3 months, and the second one it took just about a month. All right, and what I basically did was I started to feel as if I had a trip coming up. It's very subtle. Again, this is not aggressive. From the moment you want something, what the first thing you do is you try to match the feeling that you would feel if this thing occurred. And when I started to do that, particularly for the first one, because it was novel, it was new to me trying something like this. I mean, prior to this, I tried getting monies. I tried getting into particular spaces, meeting particular persons, getting a specific person to call me at a specific time, getting someone to answer me who I was not getting responses from. All of these things I tried, petty stuff you already want to call it, but they were me testing out the mechanisms of reality creation. And so that first time I did with the plane, with the travel. It definitely was a push because I had no passport. I had definitely no finances to get to that trip to fly anywhere. I didn't know how I was going to do that. I just knew that you get to the end of what you want, you match the frequency by feeling how you would feel if this were real, and then you go about taking the necessary actions as they present themselves to do so. And the actions were be fit, show up to practice, provide whatever information they needed or required from me when they needed it. And basically that was it. Everything else took care of itself. Same thing with the second trip. It was just show up to practice, provide the necessary information when it is asked for it, and be at the locations where I needed to be at the locations. That was it. Everything else took care of itself. It was the same when we moved from our last apartment to where we are right now. It was look for apartment buildings, find out if it had what we were looking for, shoot up to the location to do the viewing, listen to see what was the if the terms was something that we were willing to live by, and then after take the necessary actions after that. Everything else worked itself out. So attention. Let's focus on attention here for a bit. Attention is critical when it comes to creating reality because you have to pay attention to how you feel. This is one of the biggest things that we miss. See, this guy, if he doesn't pay attention to how he feels, this is what this little thing is here. This is giving out a frequency. He's giving out an energetic pattern to what he actually wants, which is a trip. He wants to get onto the plane. Now, if this guy does not continue to maintain this frequency, it takes him a longer time to get connected to this particular reality. And that's where attention comes in. Attention is the currency you pay for the life you want to live. I've said this multiple times. I've posted it multiple times. Attention is the currency you pay for the life you want to live. What you pay attention to. Good night, Winfield. I am doing excellent tonight. How are you doing, my friend? I'm also seeing Jesse Batiste and Lonnie Edwards online. Guys, welcome to the live. All right, Stephen Benjamin, you are also here. Welcome to the live. You guys can ask any questions to clarify on what I'm saying, or you can ask about a specific part of what I talked about, if it is you want to get further clarification or something more pertaining to you. Okay, so attention. Let me give you a day-to-day example. Let's say you want to prepare a meal. You have all the ingredients right there in their raw state. You head to your kitchen, you start preparing that meal. You put the rice, let's say you put the rice to wash, but then after you took your attention away from that for a while, and then you started preparing the chicken, and then before, yes, then you started preparing the chicken, you started seasoning it, but after you figured two other seasonings to put in, because then after you had to run and do something to the back of the house, and then you came back, and then you started to rinse out the rice. You light the fire, but then you forget to put the water on the fire because you went back to seasoning the chicken. Now you see how confusing that is, right? And also you see how nothing actually got done up until this point. But let's say, for example, you season the chicken completely, you rest it aside. You wash the rice completely and then you rest it aside. You lit the fire, you put the meat onto the fire, and you started to attend to that. And then you put the rice in the fire and then you moved away. Now, this is two different persons. One wanted to accomplish cooking the food, and one also wanted to accomplish cooking the food. But this one was the one in the first example, and this one was the one in the second example. You're going to get your food a lot faster from this one because there was more attention paid. There was more focus on the task. And this is the same approach you have to take with any aspect of your life. When it says you want to do anything, you need to pay attention to how you speak, particularly how you think about yourself concerning the thing that you want, how you react to it. So let's say, for example, let's go back to the flight, right? If Mark, he wants to get a flight, he wants to get a trip, but then he keeps on thinking, I don't have a passport, I don't have any money to get there. How am I going to get that done? Who is going to pay for me? What opportunity am I going to have to do this? And all of these thoughts he's having, and let's say even saying it. Someone say, oh, you look like if it just come back from somewhere. Rather than Mark say, I ain't come back yet, but I'll go in there soon, and kind of tie into the energy that has been presented for the fact that this person picked up an energy from him, that he's in some sort of a traveling space. He closes it down and makes a negative remark that blocks the energy. So what you want to always be doing is paying attention. Again, paying attention. You want to be paying attention to the words that you are using and the words that people are using around you, and seeing how much you can align yourself to the energy that is presenting itself as, yes, I am going to do this. This is happening in my life right now. Let's say now he gets funds. Someone says, hey, you ever travel, you want to travel or whatever, randomly. Now the person doesn't specifically know that Mark wants to travel, but let's say they ask my question, what do you want to do right now, whatever. And Mark says, I'm trying to travel, but I don't have my passport. And the person decides, what, how much for the passport? And Mark says, 200, 300, whatever is the price for the passport. And the individual gives Mark this money. Mark now has an opportunity to get this passport. And something else pops up. Mark has two choices again. Mark can decide to pay attention to getting the passport with the funds, which is what he wants along the line or the path towards getting his new reality, his desired reality. Or Mark can go and play a gambling game. Mark can go and buy food. Mark can give it to somebody, some woman, to make fears. Mark can do whatever he wants with this money, but if Mark chooses to put this money towards the passport, then he is taking inspired action towards his desired reality. And he's also paying attention to it, because he's doing the things that is going to bring about the results, even though he hasn't seen it as yet. This is where you live by faith, right? This is where you live based on evidence that you have not seen as yet, that it is there. Just like if it is you're leaving to go, I love to use the beach as an example. You're leaving to go to the beach. You're heading to the beach, and on your way to the beach, you know that you're going to pass certain things if you're accustomed going there, right? You know there's going to be the stop an intersection. You're going to pass the traffic light. You're going to pass the roundabout. You're going to pass the bridge. All right. These are the necessary spots that and can confirm to you, I am heading to the beach. In the same way, any reality that you want to create, any life you want to leap from, or leap into, I should say. I'm talking about quantum leaping here. And quantum leaping happens like this. Multiple times I caught it, and I would tell my wife, I'd be like, hey, we just crossed over. Oh, that moment there, we just entered into a new portal or a new energy pattern or whatever. And it's very, very subtle, guys. It can be, you need to understand, any little shift, any change in something that has been a consistency in your life, and something different happened, you shifted reality. And the quicker you can pick up that identifying mark, the quicker you can identify what that thing is, you would then gain a lot more confidence that you're in this new reality. It could be a time shift. For example, the other day we were watching, I was just on the socials, just getting back into touch with it. And I was looking back at one of my old videos, and I saw it had a sequential number on it, 444. No, 444 is usually a number associated with success in a particular endeavor or something that you are working on or towards. And when I saw it, I pointed it out and I was like, hey, look here. And I didn't want to speak it, so I was just pointing at it. She just barely glimpsed it when my hand accidentally touched the back button and it went back. Now, I did not actually view this live, so it was not my count. I was just on the feed. When we went back on, it said 4:45. And in that moment, I was like, hey, we just entered the door. we're on the other side. About an hour after that, massive thunder roll ripping through the sky, and I was like, wow, a portal just opened. Now, these things might not necessarily be connected, but the fact that I am paying attention to the details and I'm allowing my subconscious mind to see a pattern. Your subconscious mind is the one that's really created. That's the subconscious mind is the one that's really responsible for creating or helping you to create the habits and patterns that you need to unconsciously be doing to live comfortably in your new reality. You don't want to end up in your new reality and every time you have to be consciously thinking, oh, pick up the coffee this way, or walk this particular way, or think this particular way. No, you want to automatically be doing it. You don't think about how you're going to lift your hand to eat. You don't think about how you're going to get off your bed in the morning. You don't think about how it is you're going to approach to talk to someone. That happens automatically. And when you're getting into a new reality, you want the actions, the thoughts, the behaviors, the beliefs that you're having to be natural to you. It must feel natural to you before you exist there, because then after, the persons in that reality would wonder, what are you doing? You wouldn't fit into the mood. You wouldn't seamlessly adjust to it. And then you will feel out of place and it will be seen. One of the fastest ways, and I use this a lot because I realize it's a very creative way and it's a very simple way to do it. One of the fastest ways to enter into a new reality, if it is possible, is to change the way you appear. It's to change the way you dress. It's to change the things you wear. This has definitely allowed me, at least for the last 3 to 4 realities, that major ones that I've created, to get into them very easily and get out of them very easily. Change maybe my hairstyle, change the type of dress or the way I would rearrange my dress style. Change the way that I would walk into an environment, or change the way that I would sit to present myself in a particular environment. And by doing so, it allows me to seamlessly integrate into this new reality without both myself and the individuals that are now being incorporated into that reality to feel different, to feel weird. And again, it comes back to paying attention. Am I still holding on to this old frequency? Am I still holding on to the old habits, to the old behaviors? And if I am, why? What am I not comfortable with? What am I uncomfortable with? What am I not paying attention to? What am I paying attention to too much? Like all of these things. And at first it may seem like a lot, but then once you get to a place where it is your only, like you really just focus on yourself and becoming the best version of yourself, this is effortless. I remember when last year before 2023 year, I did this yoga course. It was a course with official, authentic, natural, whatever you want to say it. It was a guru. I was with a guru from India, and he helped. Listen, life sweet, life sweet. Anyways, it was just authentic. I'll say authentic. I don't know how to phrase or categorize him. He was a guru. All right, he was a yogi. He was a yogi. So I would say yogi guru, but India, and they were doing just like traditional yoga classes. So they sent it out. I signed up. I got accepted, and I had to operate and live like if I was in an ashram. Right, that's like those temples, not really a temple, but those secret houses, secret places. You have to do like from your home. You basically connected to energetically to this ashram, and you were doing whatever. Point being, was doing this, and I got some major energy clearance. Literally cleared my energetic pathways, and he said something. He had this phrase he used to always use: "Effort means to be effortless." And that stuck with me because the whole idea behind this course was to make everything in your body effortless. Your walk effortless, the way you speak effortlessly. When you do a movement, it must be done gracefully. It must be done with the minimum amount of energy used. Because when you put effort into things, it means you're trying, you're chasing, you're moving out of your norm to get something. When really and truly, to get the thing that you want, you're supposed to simply be still and match the frequency based on your feeling, based on how you believe that you would naturally operate in the environment once you are there. It shouldn't be something where you're acting, although it is an act. It is an act, and the reason why it's an act is because if you have to get into another reality, then you have to act differently. But within the reality that you want to get into, it should not be an act. It should just be who you are. You're just being this. It's very different when you're trying to talk to someone and when you're talking to someone. Because when you're trying to talk to someone, then after you're thinking about so many things. Did I say that right? Could I have said that differently? Should I have acted it this way? Should I have said that faster? Should I have not said that at all? And I mean, I have done that in the past, and it felt very uncomfortable for me to talk to persons until I started to realize, why am I trying to talk to persons? I should just talk to them. And in doing that, then after the ease came where if I have nothing to say, then I don't say it. Or if I feel like saying something, I say it, even if it is I feel that the person may not. That's what I feel. I feel the person may not be okay with it, but I say it still. And after I realize, oh, they were okay with it. And that slowly broke the mold that I had in terms of thinking for persons. A lot of people think for people, and we think, oh, the person wouldn't like that, or the person might be offended, or the person may think us weird, or whatever it is. All right. Let me just see how much time I've gone so far. Okay. I didn't want this to be too long since it was my first live back. My first time trying the blackboard. I'm going to try to get a better marker, more thicker. Maybe blacker, preferably blacker, so that you guys can see. I think I'm going to keep marker as our guy. I'm going to use that name, all right, for our little character here as I go on doing whiteboard lessons. I'm going to get more detailed into it. I'm going to get more specific into it, but this is just an introduction back into me coming back into the matrix, me helping you guys to navigate through it, and recently just finding out how much the work I've been doing on here has been impacting lives. You know, sometimes you're doing stuff and you're just doing it because you feel a drive to it, but then you don't realize the impact you're making. And recently, it definitely has shed some light on me of the impact I've been making on young minds. Not only in the country I'm in at the moment, but through the Caribbean and by extension the region and certain parts of the wider world. You know, people reach out to me and I'm like, wow, you know, I'm like, the views and the reactions just don't give the same feedback for me to realize how much impact I'm actually making. And I thank you guys for all the support you do. I thank you guys for all of the love that you send my way. All right, continue to share the content, continue to react, respond, send in your questions, guys. Remember, just need to make sure this is not just for me to come on here and just blah 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 about things that I have went through, but also to help you navigate through the things that you are going through. You know, right now, you know that for those of you who are following me, you see me there working with rugby, and I really see it as a way that I can help a lot of young men. Because you know that what I focus on a lot, I focus on young men and helping them to elevate their life, live the life they want to change their reality. And I'm really seeing how rugby and boxing, even, you know, I'm getting back into boxing pretty soon. I've never felt like I left boxing, just the timing wasn't right for it for me. But I'm seeing an avenue where I can get back into it now. And I'm definitely hoping to make an impact with that, with both rugby and boxing, because they're pretty aggressive sports. They're pretty brutal sports. And I'm guessing because of the type of person I am, in terms of aggression towards getting what I want, in terms of determination, focus, and all of these things, those sports are very ideal. And I am definitely looking forward to work with some of the young men that listen to me, so that I can not only give them the mental aspect of it and the psychological aspect of it, but I can also give them the physical aspect of it, that their physical bodies can match their inner will, and it can set them up for life, that they can now go on and take on and challenge any situation that comes up in their life because of the level of confidence that they have in themselves and the ability to basically control their life and not be controlled by society. Anyways, this is Neal saying enjoy your week. Have a blessed one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, we are here to build strong minds and stronger hearts and to make freedom possible.